right across from the temple, and he would do about one book every 10 days, basically.
Wow.
He'd go polish shampoo and all this stuff. Just a sword and unusual stuff. Yeah. So these are, he said they're not mistakes. It's called manuscripts. There's some mistakes and things like that, but his feeling is very good. So these are from Bodhananda Saraswati, who's an incarnation of Tungavidya on the side there, and contemporary of Swami and everybody else. You know, here in Vrindavan, he was South Indian Brahmin, very high class family. So he became a devotee. You know, Vanchito Shri. That means Vanchito Shri.
I've been cheated.
I was cheated. So he was raised up, he said, I was raised up in the opulent worship of Lakshmi and Narayan and Rangakshetra. You go there and it's time for the artik, and there's hundreds of fat Brahmins perspiring ghee, throwing herbs on the fire for smoke and chanting mantras, Subramatan, Yanta, Vedai, okay, this Shiman Narayan artik. So Aishwarya Baba. He said, I was raised up in the opulent worship of Lakshmi and Narayan. You know? But all this time, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas were drowning in Madhurya Ras. Vanchito Shmi, Vanchito Shmi, Vanchito Shmi. I was cheated, I was cheated, I was cheated. So then he became a Gaudiya Vaishnava. He wrote so many nice prayers about Lord Chaitanya. Then he also was here in Vrindavan for quite some time. I can get that book for you. And he then wrote Shataka, Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajaka Ashtota Shata. Ashtotra means 8, and Shata means 100. So we say 108, they say 8 and 100. So Ashtotra Shata. So and he has this, apparently there's so many Shatakas we don't have. There's something like about 20 here which survived. And so we're on Shataka number, I think, 6. We've already done 500 verses. Every evening we do 10 verses like that. Yes. So this is Shataka number 6, text 31. And Kushakwata says that. Prabodhananda Saraswati says, okay, how's this work now? Okay, it's not going to work. Okay, placing her, Krishna placing Radha on his lap, running his handsome fingers through her black hair, and repeatedly smelling the fragrance of her golden lotus face. Lord Krishna raises Radha's shin, and repeatedly kisses her bimba fruits. Okay, is that enough for you? please meditate on this Lord Krishna, the deity of conjugal love in Vrindavan. Okay. Our robot's giving me problems here. Okay. With deep love, please worship the two supremely sweet, fair and dark, youthful, divine splendors, who, all their limbs covered with passion, sport in the shoreless ocean of transcendental, amorous pastimes in Sri Vrindavan's newly blossoming groves. They're very compound sentences. In the forest place of rendezvous, vehemently denouncing her lover, eloquently rebuking those of her friends sent by him to make peace, overwhelmed by the nectar of transcendental mellows, and tormented by desire, Radha is about to depart. Please allow me to be the confidential maidservant who then, carrying a golden fan and other articles, follows her. So Prabodhananda Saraswati is on a different level. Please meditate on the divine couple who, their handsome silken garments slipping, their flower garlands, great jewel necklaces and belts broken, their hair loosened, their tilak, mascara, and other cosmetics wiped away, attended by maidservants attentive to their every wish, is now overwhelmed by transcendental amorous pastimes. I bow down to offer respects to any person who vows to reside until the moment of his death from air contamination. Being run over by a tractor. Okay? In the beautiful land of Vrindavan. Okay? The original kingdom of transcendental bliss. Noticing that such a person is becoming qualified to be one of their personal associates, Sri Sri Radhakrishna considered, what arrangements shall we make for this person? Okay. In the abode of Vrindavan, please worship Sri Sri Radhakrishna, whose joking and laughter are splendid as millions of rising moons, the movements of whose eyebrows create millions of wonderful transcendental kamadevas, and whose words are like millions of flowing streams of cooling sweetness of transcendental bliss. Can you compose poetry like this? Even his vocabulary must be, it's like must be a lesson in vocabulary, the kind of words he's choosing.
Even the Shataka, people don't attempt 100 verses. They don't start off writing 100 verses unless they...
What's the speaker, 35 verses about Vrindavan? Because you can see for several verses you'll be talking about Radhakunda, and you'll talk about simple second, you see he's moving around and different things are impressing him. I continually chant the holy name of supremely purifying Vrindavan, which is filled with limitless sweetness and with splendid, sweet, spiritual love, and which is beautiful with forest groves, where Sri Sri Radhakrishna enjoyed transcendental pastimes. Eternally serve Sri Radha, whose love for Lord Hari is fathomless. Don't meditate on your material body, which is simply a great obstacle. Don't commit offenses. Even if you are tormented by many sufferings, don't leave ISKCON. I'm changing it there. Which is blind with the nectar of Sri Radha. O fool, don't leave the difficult to obtain ISKCON. Yes. You can also substitute for Vrindavan the Maha Mantra. All the things it says about Vrindavan, the Maha Mantra, you can also see it's also there. Okay, 39. All glories to the fair and dark divine couple who somewhere in Vrindavan forest play dice. Somewhere to playfully hide from each other. Where do they hide from each other? Anybody think of any place where those pastimes are going on? Hanumatpresaka escapes. It's actually, if you're coming from Delhi, it's the first city you come into. You cross the border into Vrindavan, the first town you come to is
Koshi,
which means
covering?
huh? Cuckoo. Koshikala. Okay, yeah, because then I guess Radha and Krishna dressed up as cuckoos, right? And then she was hiding and going cuckoo, fighting each other, hiding and playing hide and go seek. Hide and seek is Koshikal. Yeah. Somewhere they're playing dice, somewhere they're playfully hiding from each other. Somewhere steal each other's property, somewhere embrace, some imitating the trees and vines, somewhere ride together on a swing, somewhere speak wonderful riddles, somewhere imitate the movements of the birds, deer, and other forest creatures, and somewhere amuse themselves with jugglery and magic tricks. Yes, okay. And finally, how many are the blissful incarnations of the personality of Godhead? How does the Lord not display countless splendid transcendental forms? Does he not directly appear in countless charming and handsome forms? Like Varaha. Is Varaha a charming and handsome form?
I don't think so.
Since I've been this time in India, I only saw one or two pigs. You know? I don't know, Vrindavan, are there many pigs in Vrindavan? Here you don't see any pigs. No? Were there pigs here before? No, I haven't seen any this time. You've seen?
Yeah, there
Really?
is some.
I don't see any. Before there were so many. Yeah. And you see them, they have like high heel shoes on. And in backs they have this stuff, you know. They look like, you know, yeah, the hair on the back and stuff, you know. And so, you know, Varaha had come to save Lakshmi, mother,
Bhumi.
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 No. Went to first couple that went to Guru Dasa's wife.
Yamuna.
Yamuna, yeah. Yamuna? No, not Yamuna. Yamuna is Shamasundar, no?
Malati. That
Huh?
was Shamasundar's wife was Malati.
Malati? Yeah, Malati. She was describing that they, I guess they bought it, they got this property in Soho or whatever it is, you know, in England. And then Shamasundar was doing all this work and everything else. He's very, very emotional, you know, organizing big programs. His father was a lawyer from Grants Pass, Oregon. You know. And anyway, so they were trying to remodel this place and, you know, put in walls and everything else and so forth and so on. And they met George Harrison, and so he got the royal marble guy to get the marble for the place and the floors and design it and everything else. And it was a very, very nice program. And they were installing Radha London Ishwar, who Prabhupada stole with these people. Yeah. And she said it was basically like there was a curtain, like this, you know, and then they were behind the curtain. And Shamasundar made this really beautiful arch, very artistic arch there, and hanging the curtain, and really tall. And then behind that, they were dressing Radha London Ishwar. And you could see Prabhupada from behind the curtain, and the audience was there, and the Lord Mayor of London was there, and all these big people, media, you know. And they could see that Prabhupada was coming to the end of his lecture. They weren't quite finished with dressing the deities over the curtain. So everybody started rushing, and then she said one brahmachari kind of stepped back and just stepped off, dressing the deities, and missed a step and bounced into one of the columns that was holding up this big curtain. And then this when they all realized that Shamasundar was a very good artist, but a very terrible structural engineer. Because the whole thing started to fall over and was going to crash on, you know, smash the marble deities and everything else. And she said everybody was just panicked, and it was like everything went into slow motion. Yeah, and so Prabhupada just could see his came right off the Vyasa-san, with one hand moved the parapet on the other side, with the other hand took Radharani's hand, like, oh, Madam, let me help you. We had a very chivalrous thing, like, you know, please allow me to help you, Madam, with this difficulty. Other hand, he held the column up. Okay. And then it went back into normal time, and then everybody else started to react. And she said it took 4 people to hold the column up, and put it back up. The Prabhupada was holding up with one hand, like that, and so on. She said she saw this. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, so Varaha, yeah. So Varaha was coming. It was a very chivalrous move, right? He was going to save Lakshmi, his incarnation, and so on. And so he thought he looked really good. You know, there's a thing, a famous painting called The Boar Hunt. You look up it on YouTube, and it shows this boar. These guys are big. I mean, they're from like tails over there, faces over here. They're this big, and their tusks are razor sharp. You can cut paper on their tusks. They're not weak. You know, boar is a terrifying thing. You know? And so this picture shows like about 8 or 10 dogs trying to attack this boar, and 6 or 7 country people with sticks, and maybe even stealing corn or something. And one dog is lying there with his entrails, you know, ripped open, bleeding to death. Another one's got his throat. It's really like, okay, this is it. This is a boar. You know? Yeah. You know. So here he comes to rescue Lakshmi. And, oh, thank you. You know. So he raped Lakshmi. Yeah, that's a problem, because it says in one purport, it says, women are fond of men who are expert at rape. No, this is expert. Yeah. But this is a big thing for, you know, everybody tries to hide this, and all the feminists try to really point this one thing out. Like, right? The feminists say A.C. Bhaktivedanta says this, and so forth and so on. You know? But again, this is the point that Prabhupada's English is mostly, you know, beginning of the 20th century English, in 1903, 1904, 1905, you know, like that, you know. Even now, for example, if if you say, oh, I went into the office and the dean of the university was making love to his secretary, they would be, oh my God. No, but now, what you would, I guess the modern thing would be with, okay, if you're an older person, you would say, oh, he was sparking with his secretary. It's like you're, yeah. But now we'd probably say it was hitting, right?
Hitting on,
Yeah. Oh, the dean was hitting on his secretary, you know. It means like this verbal banter, making love to him, it's verbal bantering and stuff. So same way the word rape at that time, in Spanish it's no problem, you know. La rapta de Rukmini. Now you don't translate that as that's the rape of Rukmini. No, you translate it as
The rapture.
the kidnapping.
The kidnapping.
Yeah, but so it's the rapta. Yeah. In Spanish, the rapta. Yeah. In Boise, Idaho, they had the university there had a special section where they studied one kind of birds, which were called raptors. It's like birds that hang on like that. So the word rapture. The word means to basically like to take away, to capture, to this kind of stuff. And so one ISKCON Maharaji was defending Prabhupada's language and everything else. He said, yeah, if you go to like in the ordinary supermarket, big supermarket, they have one section where they have all these cheap books you can buy, you know. Half of them are like, she said, half of them are like, they show a picture of some woman with a full nice gown and some handsome man on a horse just carrying her away. You know. Yeah, I said, yeah, this is what the girls want you to know. Some guy will carry them off. Prince Charming will carry them off to his castle, and, you know, and so forth and so on, you know. Yeah. Yeah. So that the actual meaning of the word, you know, in that sense, that's what Prabhupada is using, you know, that sense is rapture, you know, women are very fond of men who are expert at rape, you know, so on. Yeah. But it's almost, if you look at the whole thing, that almost directly denies any kind of physical abuse in a phrase like that. But understanding, you know, Prabhupada's language and stuff. Yeah. So Lord Varaha, he came to rape Lakshmi. Oh, thank you. You know, he took her from the nether regions. You know. Where are the nether regions? You know, why was Lakshmi in the nether regions? What had happened? Lakshmi is, what is the ghost man who goes to? How do we see Lakshmi? How do we see Bhumi? Yeah, as the earth. Right? What we're seeing is her external energy and stuff like that, but that's her energy. She's a person. Yeah? Yeah, yeah. And if you see her now, you see she had different kinds of staphylococcus infections here with bad odors coming out and one over here. That's Los Angeles. This is yeah. When we were flying into these places, you know, you're flying to Mexico City from a distance, it looks exactly like some kind of like infection houses happening because they're digging into the earth, you know, sucking out the fluids and then turning them into these bad gases and so on. And it's describing Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakasipu, how they were like taking out, what were they taking out? They weren't taking out oil. They were taking out what?
Gold.
Gold, taking out, and Prabhupada said this creates an imbalance in the Earth's atmosphere. And then because of that, Bhumi sank into the, which ocean? Garbadak Ocean? Okay, not the Patala Ocean. Yeah, okay. And Prabhupada says in the same purport, 1965 or 71 or whenever it is, he said this modern, what's the word? Mining? We call it mining of petroleum.
Fracking.
Huh?
Fracking.
Well, no, it's actually sucking it out. What is it called? Mining? Or mining? What the word is for it? Drilling and extracting oil, he said, will cause the same result. It will create an imbalance, you know. So what's happening? Yeah, it's all being sucked out. You talk to Sri Hari, he knows all about this. You know. Now they finally realize what they're doing, that if you suck out 400 million, you know, cubic feet of oil, you've got to put back in 400 million cubic feet of salt water, at least. You know, put salt water back in for much as you're taking out. And what do you do with it? You turn it into fuel, heat, everything else, and it goes into the atmosphere, right? Now what's happening to the earth? The earth is sinking. The oceans are coming up, or the earth is going down. Take your choice. Doesn't make much difference. But the earth is sinking into the ocean. So exactly what Prabhupada said, it will create a similar imbalance, and the earth will go on like that. So, because if Hiranyakshi and Hiranyakasipu, the earth would have been, submerged in subterranean regions, and so she became the object of exploitation by the gross people. What's his name? Bali Maharaj, right? He was defeated by
Bhamanadev.
Bhamanadev. He had to depart for with all of his followers. Huh? Sutala, which is kind of like Las Vegas. Yes. Again, if you're coming across the desert, it's all desert, southwest, and out of the horizon start to come these like towers, and finally emerges in front of you, and there's Las Vegas is sitting there. It's just like subterranean heavenly planet. Subterranean heavenly planet, so there's no light, but there are lights coming from the serpents. Las Vegas goes 24 hours a day. Once you go into the clubs, you can stay there with different shows are going on 24 hours a day, and beautiful girls dancing and music and all kinds of things to eat and drink, and there's a little Eiffel Tower, there's always Egyptian pyramids, it's always like, the level of sense gratification in the Buddha-Swarga, subterranean heavenly planets, is greater than it is in Indraloka. Right? There's more sense gratification, subterranean heavenly planet, but it's demoniac like that and so on. So Bali Maharaj's followers were probably all kind of rebellious and upset with him as generals. Hey, you're giving everything away, we fought for this, heaven is our right, we want to stay here. They said, no, we're going down to Sutala, Patala, whatever it is. So when they got there, they probably thought, hey, it's not bad. Yeah, okay, it's okay. Yeah, okay. And so that he became the king of Sutala, but he's not like a demon, exactly. It's interesting. So different incarnations. So she had been then, drugged down to this level where she's being exploited, right? Who wants to learn about ecology? Pantheism. Pantheism, ecology, first canto, second canto, chapters 1, 2, 3, talk about pure emotionalism. What's the first one? Pantheism, Paramatma, pantheism. Next one is mysticism and monotheism. Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. First one is the first step in devotional service. The second one is Paramatma. The third one is pure devotional service. So Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, second canto. Sukadeva Swami is instructing. All right, correction. The first one is pantheism. He's telling you meditate on the Virat Rupa, all these things, and how they're connected, and appreciate these things. So the demons also want to understand ecology, right? Because it allows them to understand nature's secrets and exploit those secrets. Very demoniac use. So Prabhupada says, he uses the word pantheism in several purports there, and he says that without a sense of devotion, it won't have much benefit. But yeah, if you have a devotional aspect, trying to become pantheistic to help nature, groups like the Sierra Club, PETA, different groups like that, they want to understand nature to service attitude. But other people no, they want to understand these things to exploit them, and so she had been coming down to this level, being exploited and suffering. And Varaha came and lifted her up from these regions. So it takes an incarnation, that can deal with these nasty things. And he had her on his snout, on his tusk, it says, like the moon, right? Yeah. And then who came and saw this? Hiranyaksha. And what did he say?
Wonderful beast, or something like that.
Hold, O amphibious beast. It's all Shakespearean language. It seems like it's a great comedy, Hold, O amphibious beast, you shall not forthwith take away the charge of so and so from us without a fight, And it says that Lord Varaha was insulted when he called him an amphibious beast, because he was thinking he was pretty good, his feelings, So then he responded with another insult, and he said, yes, true it is that we are beasts of the jungle, and we are used to hunting dogs like you, king dog. So they exchanged insults for a while, and they started beating on each other and stuff, It was very, very, very humorous. God incarnates as a giant red pig with a stick. It's like, do you believe that God is a giant hog with a stick? well, sometime, you know. And then finally, after killing him, then the demigods, offer prayers, and they say, well, thanks for coming and adjusting everything so we can enjoy sense gratification and holy goodness, and you're leaving now, right? Aren't you? Yeah, I'm leaving now. But yeah, so they don't even ask for liberation. They just want to adjust things so we can, enjoyment. And it says he departed for his own abode, where there's always a continuous festival going on. So I think of Lord Varaha in like a Renaissance British, oak forest with country, with maypoles and stuff, and country sports and bobbing for apples, and with a hat with a feather, and frosty glass of root beer, that all the little avatars have their eternal pastimes, in above Vaikuntha, below Mathura, in between, above Vaikuntha, to Ayodhya, all the places are there, little avatars. They show something more than Sriman Narayan. So here it's describing what he's describing. Here he's describing Vrindavan. Displaying very wonderful glances, words, and gestures, overwhelmed by the sweetness of their unrestrained love, the fair and dark youthful divine couple enjoy transcendental bliss in the forest of Vrindavan. So, I push this button. Where'd that button go? It disappeared. They moved it. British are hiding it. There it is. It's XXX in the back. Yeah. Push. Okay, push that button. Push that button. Push that button. Okay. Yeah. So myself, every time I go, I tell everybody we're 9 minutes from Radhakunda. And so to me, it's like going there. It's like you're getting up. You finally come. Bhojan Stali, where people leave all the boga for the cows on the left side there. That place is a little flat rock. People leave food for the cows and stuff there. The cows come and inspect. Food magically appears. The cows come. You go past it. That's SRK Chinese food. You drive on Parikama. And it's still, it's like, to me, every time I go around, it's just like, you can, your ears can be stimulated and purifying, with your feet also. To me, just the walking is the same as, just as purifying as the hearing. So every time going around, Gokula becomes more and more manifest. And you realize there's so many of those buildings are just like abandoned buildings there and stuff, which, they're worth a fortune, actually, in terms of, shopkeepers renting them and stuff and renovating them, very narrow places. But then also, there's so many shopkeepers. There's so many levels. I notice you're going around, and every single shop is selling all this like paraphernalia for pilgrims. Different kinds of incense, tilak, everything like that. But you look right past the superficial part, and it's a hardware store. Someplace else, it's a pharmacy, right? They have everything you want in Radhakunda, like stationery store, hardware store, electrician. It's all there. The superficial thing, it's all like selling stuff to the peripheral people. This is right behind it a little bit. Is like normal, normal life. How you can move in here and get your ordinary daily stuff and so on. So and then you begin to see people. The Vrishvasis are always talking to each other and stuff, and playing around and stuff and so on. So you begin to realize there's a whole level of social communication, existence here, and different groups and factions, and even the monkeys and dogs have their territories, right? You see them like, making their communication, you're coming into our territory. So it's got all the things that he's seeing here, it's kind of like an indication, these things do exist here. Be careful, follow sadhana bhakti, vaidya bhakti. These things will allow you to begin to see these things, and once you begin to see them, then you can have a relationship with them. You can stimulate that part of your being, and get rid of the gross coverings. And if you're fortunate, in your next lifetime, what body will you take in Radhakunda? what will you be in Radhakunda in your next lifetime? I'm thinking of something.
A little bird.
Picking up pieces of straw and taking them away. The birds cleaning, yeah. People gossiping here, right? Yeah. It's the green parrots, right? Yeah, that's all the gossiping news. Yeah. Very strange. I told you we were, maybe like about 5 days ago, we went around. And it was around where, past the religious bookstore. You see the Shamakuni, there's a water thing there. I looked over, came up, and there's this bowl, and you would come up to the bottom of his shoulder. I was up to his shoulder.
Wow.
I was standing up, that's how big he was, black bowl. And from Brisbasi guy came up, it wasn't just me, he was a Brisbasi guy. The bull didn't look angry, but he didn't look pleased either.
Oh.
It was like, I've never seen such a big, solid black bull was walking along there and stuff. I'm not sure if he was, Ristasura, come again, but this time a little bit more,
For sure.
more,
For sure.
more peaceful. So any comments or anything, questions? Chaitanya Charitamrita Das, Shubha, Devidasi, what came today? Jamuneshwar, Manipur. Huh?
Well, we were talking about romanticism and men back 5,000 years ago, a little different than men nowadays.
Yeah,
Romanticism-
even 500 years. Even 500 years.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
When he was writing this, there was, what was Radhakunda like when he was writing this? How many buildings were there? Prabhupada Saraswati was writing this, what was Radhakunda like? How big was it?
Very
Yeah,
small.
probably wasn't very big at
small.
all. Yeah, because Raghunath Das was helped inspire somebody to start building this. It must have taken quite some time. Yeah, I don't know if anybody has the history, but it probably was even excavated in phases. Somebody made like for your first place, and somebody made it bigger, and then, and then of course, Bhajan Kutir was probably a very thick forest. All around it was thick forest in all directions and stuff. And so people could have their Bhajan Kutirs and, little cabañas, different places, and going to visit each other and so on, little pathways.
Shukadev Prabhu has old pictures of Radhakund.
Wow.
Very nice.
From like, the 20th century?
I think the first pictures of Radhakund.
Yeah. The daguerreotype. Yeah. That's the first cameras, with pinholes. They didn't have any lenses. First cameras, they had a pinhole. You had to play a light that was so bright, it was like, take a picture. So I don't know. Everybody's done that. There's no, I don't know why this, our religious bookseller doesn't have like books of, maybe Radhakunda was very shy or something. Jayananda was so humble, right? And so many people tried to write a biography of him, nobody could do it. It was just like he didn't want it done. Very, very difficult for anybody. So many devotees have written biographies about different devotees, but him was just again and again. Couldn't be done, so maybe Radhakunda doesn't want, her history to be displayed, because he's so nice.
Yeah.
This Purani Mandir, right up on the hill there. I don't know who established it or anything. There's a reason behind everything.
Maharaj is, Govardhan Hill is settled
Yeah.
because of the truth.
Yeah.
There's Radhakunda and
Yeah.
Shamakunda, the rise.
I don't know. Not sure how they're, how's it just back to, because
You could get deeper.
Govardhan was much higher, so Radhakunda was also, in 500 years has Radhakunda also gone down. I mean, it appears that there's a whole general, Shihari will probably know this, that the slant of the water comes to this area, and so it's a natural, on a broad basis, there's a natural aquifer here of water pushing up, like that, spread out. Other places may be dry, there's a Dig. Dig is in the Rajasthani deserts and stuff, very dry. Yeah. But here there's always water.
Mhm.
And the Radhakunda it drops down one more step or something in the summer? 2 steps?
I think 2 or 3.
That much?
Yeah.
It goes down.
Mhm.
It goes down quite a bit. Yeah. Yes, the water table.
And every day is different.
Huh?
And every day the water is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Prabhupada keeps on.
Yeah.
Right.
So tomorrow, here's the plan now.